these for many, many years, and then I'd branch off into other ones like science fiction and Star Wars ripoffs and all these other crazy things. And then one night on March 3rd of 2003, whenever I was 14 years old, you know the story, you just smiled. When I was 14 years old, I was lying in bed and I was staring at the ceiling. And I never really finished a story all the way up till then. I never really found the story idea that I loved enough to finish. And all of a sudden this idea hit me. It was the idea of this banker and this boy sitting on this roof waiting for a burglar to appear. And it was really weird because I didn't know where this image had come from. It just kind of appeared out of nowhere. But something told me in my brain that this was important. There's a story behind this picture. So I jumped out of bed and I ran over to my writing desk and I started scribbling out the answers to these questions, like, well, who's the boy and who's the banker? How do they know a burglar is going to be there? And why are they on this ridiculous roof? And all these things. And as I'd answer those questions, more questions would come up until it was like, well, you know, like, how did they get here? That was the question. Like, what's the history behind this image? And then what's going on here? Like, how do they know these things? And why is the creature coming? What's his story? Then that all-important question that all authors have to ask themselves, which is, what happens next? Where is this story going to go? And I just kept writing out the answers to these questions. And as I'd write out those answers, there'd be more questions to answer, and then more questions. And pretty soon, many, many months later, I had the ideas, I had plotting for pretty much 6 books in a whole series. And the first image of the boy and the banker on the roof turned out to be this book right here, the first chapter of this novel. And that's pretty much what started it all. And then I wrote on those ideas, I answered those questions, and then I figured out more questions and answered those on and on and on for about 5 years, or 6 years, no, 5 years. And then I finished the book, and I got an agent, and it got published, and that's where I am today, and I'm ready to finish the sequel, the second book in the series. So that is the story of how I became an author, the unlikely story, and my mother still holds it above my head now all the time about how she was right and I was wrong, and if I had only listened to her on piano lessons, I could be a world famous pianist.